Welcome to Photo Finds. I am your host Kevin, and this week we are starting in Spaceship Earth. In fact, this whole week is something a little bit different. We're going to stay in Spaceship Earth because, as you can tell by this picture already, the lights are on, and they're going to stay on. We got to travel on Spaceship Earth with the work lights turned on so you could see what the ride looks like sort of from the inside. And as you can see, obviously things are not built to be looked at with the work lights on. A lot of things look a little bit more boring. In fact, this tarp behind you here is where you normally see that mammoth being hunted by humans. But other things are just as equally interesting with the lights on. You can see a lot of the rock work, for instance, has really got a lot of detail and sculpturing done to it, despite normally only being seen in the dark. Now, this particular Lights On tour was organized and done with Disney's blessing. It wasn't that the ride broke down or anything like that. It was kind of more of a private after-hours tour for a particular private party, and we had the good fortune to let Disney agree to this event, knowing that we'd be taking some pictures as we went. Now, this particular picture surprised me the most. Now, we are obviously in the Egypt section near the beginning of the ride, and the picture has been treated a little bit to make things a little bit more visible, even despite the lights being on. This is obelisk in the background. I'd never noticed it before. Obviously, it wasn't new, but there was a lot of detail in the backdrops that normally you just don't see and don't pay much attention to. So we'll continue our view. As you can tell, I'm taking pictures without the flash. The work lights are on, and they're letting you see some things, but there's still some shadows. The flash would really change the character and tonality of the pictures quite a lot. I did enjoy this, which is the end of that boat. All of the intricate detail that goes into this little carving, which I've never noticed and never would have noticed without seeing the thing with the lights on. Just tells you a little bit more, and there's one, as you can see, on the other side of the boat, that tells you a little bit more about what the mentality was when they built Epcot and how much attention they paid to detail, because you really can see a lot of detail in these in these pictures of things that you normally just don't get a chance to see. Now, you can also see some of the roof line, as you can see here. They've got some of the show lights visible, and the work lights at this particular point are a little brighter than they would otherwise be. The work lights are kind of hit or miss. In this particular spot, the work lights are bright enough, and you can see things. In other parts, they're not nearly as bright and not all that different. So here's as an example of one that looks not too different from the way it normally looks, although there is kind of a better glow throughout the building, and you get a picture, for instance, of this above the writing monks that's normally quite impossible to take a photograph of. And the monks themselves, the room is a lot brighter now with the work lights on, so I thought I would grab a couple of shots to show you what they look like when you're able to take a picture without the flash. Again, the flash changes all of the flesh-colored appearances. Now here, as you can tell, everyone else is taking photos as well as we move throughout Spaceship Earth. Again, a difficult shot to take under normal circumstances because the spot where the vehicles are is usually pretty dark, as is the ceiling. Now here's another shot that shows what the ceiling looks like with the work lights turned on. And a couple of shots of the background view here. And then here's one of those characters, and in that spot you could see that the work lights didn't do too much to make it brighter, and indeed here it's kind of a mixed bag as well. There's still quite a few shadows. This is the Michelangelo ceiling painting the Sistine Chapel, and that's one of the spots that's actually still fairly dark, even though the supposed work lights are on. And as we make our way around the corner, you'll have a look back at the Michelangelo ceiling one last time, and then a glance over at this guy who's usually very hard to photograph indeed. These are the printing presses, and an opportunity to have a look at the newspapers kind of up close, again without having to use a flash. I did enjoy a couple of things here. So yes, the Civil War is over. It's something about generally surrendering in Appomattox. I look at the title here and it says something that's not quite the New York Times. It's something totally different and not really all that legible. We'll back up a couple of spots there and have a look over in the corner here. It says The Forger's Sister is the title of that particular newspaper story, which doesn't make any sense, but maybe it's some kind of inside joke for the person who made this fake newspaper. There's the newspaper boy now calling out down the the street, and here's a view of that street, which is normally quite shrouded in darkness and not at all that easy to see when it's normally dark. So as we make our way upwards a little bit, you'll see that there are some spots which have kind of normal illumination and normal lighting, like this one here, and then only the occasional light from above with the work lights. These figures that are meant to represent people watching the movie theater, they look pretty different with the work lights turned on, in case you ever wanted to see what is actually playing, supposedly, in that theater. Now there's a familiar scene. I'm going to aim my camera down towards the bottom. You don't normally get a chance to look at what the track of Spaceship Earth is doing. There are sensors throughout, as you can see. Each of these little pylons is labeled with a different number, so the workers know exactly where to go when something is broken. Now as we switch out of this room and over towards the computer room, I'm going to take a look back and see what that WDI recording booth looks like. And as you can see, the work light is this faint glow. It looks green in this image here, coming from the left side of the screen, and it casts a lot of heavy shadows. So it's not that the entire place is really lit up by intense searchlights when the work lights are turned on. Now this car is very difficult to get a picture of during normal operation, and certainly without a flash. So this is a fairly rare picture, I think, to take. And I wanted to call your attention as well to this corner where there used to be a Mickey sticker. This has now been removed, and there is no Mickey sticker in that part of the car. And the big wheel out front, also very hard to take a picture of. So there's the Wozniak figure at work on the computer. Not too different in this scene, although I brightened it up a little bit for you from this angle, so you can see a little bit more about what the newspapers are and the clippings are on the side behind him. And then moving toward the reveal scene, this is the scene that normally has the green floating characters and symbols up across the top over here. At the moment that's not there. And this is what the reveal scene looks like. Now there's the Earth as you're used to seeing. There's one of the work lights, and shining in this area up at the front, it's kind of a work zone, and they have things like workbenches and tools lined up there. And the work lights turned on here are illuminating the cars. Normally you can't get a picture of the people turned sideways like this and facing toward the Spaceship Earth over on the side. A couple more shots of people as they're moving backwards towards the downward part of the journey. And here you can see the geodesic dome as it looks from the inside. Many of these triangles here. And this is what that room looks like as you're going backwards. It normally looks like a kind of reflection and endless hallway of green lights. Well, with the work lights turned on, it looks like a bunch of gray and black sticks hanging from the ceiling. A couple of views of them there, and these are the actual emitters for the lights. Now, with the work lights on, it looks pretty unimpressive, actually, when you get right down to it. So we're continuing through the normal choose-your-own-adventure part at the end here, and I thought I would show what the sides look like with these canvas coverings and tarps put up on the side, as well as these triangles that are normally a little illuminated but mostly fairly dark along the ceiling and along the sides. With the work lights turned on, you can see there's not that much interesting to see behind it. It looks quite a bit more industrial than perhaps you're imagining, and maybe even just a little bit dusty as you're moving your way through that last part of the ride. Things often look a lot less magical with the work lights turned on, and I guess that was to be expected. Well, this week that's all we're going to do. Thanks for coming along for that ride, and we hope you enjoyed the lights-on version of Spaceship Earth. We'll get back to regular updates next time, and as always, thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you later.